Hello, TZ Brown here. Today we're going to practice some primitive fire skills using flint and steel and striker bars. I kind of like to set up a little demo area here, and I'll go through each of the pieces I have and show you what we've got. Okay, first we have some jute twine. This is pretty readily available and makes a very good bird's nest to hold your sparks. I just take a group of jute twine pieces, lay them out on some surface and scrub them until I get a pile or a batch of ball on the end of all of these strings. You'll find that sometimes you'll actually have to wash this jute to get the some of it actually has a fire preventative coating or treatment to it. But that's pretty well what you do for a piece of jute. You just fuzz it up with a knife on a log or something until you get a nice little pile of fibers at the end. Okay, the other thing that I use is called tow. This is what we use in black powder sometimes to clean your flintlocks with, but usually we use it as fire practice. Some people have been able to go from the strike of a spark to an actual flame in between 6 and 10 seconds. I'm not quite that good, but I've had pretty good success. After you catch your spark, well, show this. We use, this is called char cloth. This is 100% cotton cloth that you pack the unburnt cloth into a metal container, and the container has a pair of matching holes on the side that you'd put together like this. Then you would actually cook this. I use a small Coleman stove to cook it with until you have no more smoke or flame coming out of this hole. At that time the char cloth is finished, and it's pretty fragile. You only need one piece of it to catch a spark, and works very, very well. This is something you probably would not, unless you're a black powder person, you may not have with you all the time, but when I'm out in winter camping, I always carry char cloth. Summertime, maybe not. Winter, you may have to save your life and you need to make a fire. Now what I use for flints, this is an actual, just a flint rock nodule that when you break it, you'll find a sharp surface on it somewhere. And you can actually sharpen an edge if you know how to chip a piece off. And that's what I've done on this. This is a piece of worn out flint from my flintlock trade gun. And it works just great for carrying in a small fire kit. This is a piece of worn out flint from a muzzle-loading flintlock rifle, and it's a little bit small, but it will work. So we'll try and go through all three of these. This is a homemade striker. It was once a piece of coil spring, small coil spring, that was heated up, straightened out, bent into a D shape, and is used to strike onto the flint. This is a commercial striker, which it's a little heavier, does the same job, but you don't really have to buy one if you have some way of a piece of coil spring, or maybe your friends do, or whatever. You can make one. This is pitch pine, which you can scrape or carve some pine splinters off of. After you get your spark and your fire caught, this would be one of your first steps of getting the flame going, or getting the fire going. You can also use birch bark, and birch bark, this is a pile of scraped birch bark. With a fire steel, you can actually scrape this and start it right into that. With flint and steel, I find it's better to start it right into the char cloth. But to do scrape birch bark, any piece of birch bark, and you just scrape back and forth until you get quantity of dust and chips Right now we have quite a bit of wind and I'm losing all mine. But that's how you would set that up. We'll get started here. Let's see, let's just pick a piece of char cloth. These stick together and there's usually more than one in a layer. We'll use it just like that. I like to fold them over in half. Seems to catch a spark better. Put it with your thumb. You're going to strike on this edge right here and blow the spark into the char cloth. Since I don't want to start a great big fire, bundle it up inside your toe. There we have fire. And enough wind to catch everything else on fire also. Okay, let's do that again. This time we'll use another piece of char cloth. Let's use this broken flint right here. This may not strike quite as quickly because it's a smaller area. But again, bunch your char cloth up. Char cloth is pretty fragile. It'll disintegrate pretty quickly, but all we need to do is catch a spark. Oh, that's getting hot. And again, fire. It's not all that difficult to do this. You just need to practice a little bit, and practice before you absolutely need it, because the day that you need it, you're going to be cold, you're going to be wet, and it's not going to be fun, and a fire may save your life. We'll try this smallest flint just to see if we can. This one does not have a real good edge on it anywhere. We'll give it a try. We'll use a bigger striker on it just because. Now the easiest way for most people to, instead of using hard rock flints, I also carry a pair of fire steels. These are from firesteel.com. In the winter I carry a large one with a piece of hacksaw blade as a striker. In the summer I carry a little bitty one with again a hacksaw blade as a striker. And these are cotton makeup pads that have been dipped in paraffin. You cut them in half and you fluff up the edges a little bit. Makes a fine thing. You can strike right into these. Get a little of the cotton out here. And let's use this blade to fluff it a little bit. Because most people probably won't go to the trouble to find tow, but they may go to jute. So I know if I do this, and we'll actually build a little bit here with a few pine chips, but this jute will catch a spark immediately. And you've got the starting of your survival fire or warm you up fire right there. try it right into the or into the toe. One strike into toe and it works. Okay, how about jute? Okay, let's use the small one this time. Doesn't matter which one we use here, but one strike, we got it. These flints you can buy out at most any black powder shop, or if you know somebody that shoots, many times they'll give you the broken and worn out ones, because they're no good to shoot with. They're just too small. Here we go, flame. I had a spark on the second strike, but thought we'd give it 3 just for good measure. Kind of curl it in and then blow. And that's flame. This time we'll use this striker.